want to welcome everybody back to day 2 of our National Institute. We're excited to have you today and excited about what we're going to be hearing and seeing today. First of all, I just wanted to get any reactions that our lead team might have. Ted or Robert or Marianne, Larry, any reactions to what you heard or saw yesterday that you want to share quickly?
I think it was a great day, Peter, and we had some great presenters like we always do. And I think, like always, they were really on point with what they were talking about.
Yeah. Go ahead. Well, I think it was, the theme for the day was strategic initiatives for decarbonization. And I thought we started with a really high level overview of what's happening in the global stage, talking about both the science and the technology, the science associated with climate change and reminding us where we are and what are the possible collaboration opportunities for nations to implement new strategies. And now that's a very daunting challenge and we need to take it very seriously. And then we heard from Andrew McAllister giving an overview of California strategies in focusing on buildings. And then Jessica Granderson gave an overview of the national strategies for the US. So we had local, national, and global perspectives. And it's really important that we think about the HVAC technicians and the buildings sustainability opportunities that this institute is focusing on to try to help accelerate the implementation of these retrofits. New buildings too, but the retrofits are really where a lot of the action is. So it's we went through a number of the metrics and some of the basic ideas on what's needed and why the real estate companies care about it. So it was really exciting to cover all that detail.
Yeah. And of course, the other key point that we tried to make yesterday was that even as we do those retrofits, we need to have highly competent professional technicians in the buildings to maintain the energy savings that we're trying to attain through the retrofits, because there's a very high deterioration or shifting of those optimizations that we might put in place. So yeah, I think for me, we really see our technician workforce at the point of the spear here. They're the ones that have to keep those buildings working in good order. And so the work of the Best Center, the work of our faculty, who we are so grateful to for making the commitment to teach and not go back into industry, despite how attractive and lucrative industry is right now for our qualified instructors. All of our instructors come out of industry, so they all have tremendous background in the field. And so those experiences, that expertise is highly valued in the field, just as it's highly valued in the classroom. So I just always want to come back to honoring our faculty and the commitment they make to be teachers and to bring the passion for teaching and learning into the classroom so that our students can benefit. And ultimately, as our students enter the workforce, they can do that critical work that we need. Marianne, I'm excited to learn more about the connected communities and this effort by DOE essentially and the California Commission in terms of the Echo Block project to scale up these initiatives that are broader than a single building. A few years ago, we had Stone Edge Winery present on their microgrid one entity. Now we're scaling up to multi-families, multi-buildings. To me, this is very exciting to the extent that these are demonstration projects that we can proof of concept, and Echo Block as well, which one thing that I think Jessica Granderson emphasized was the social equity issue. And what we saw back in 2010 or 2009 with the ARA dollars, there was so much potential for our housing stock to be upgraded, healthy homes, insulated homes, homes that would be very habitable, even in the low income community that would receive those benefits. And then that whole initiative kind of fell apart because of the PACE dollars were pulled and so on and so forth. Some of you will remember back to that period. And I really feel like we have another chance. And so that piece of Jessica's messaging was important. What other things are we looking forward to today, Marianne?
Following Cindy Renier's talk about connected communities, we're going to hear from Ronan Levinson, who's an expert on urban heat islands and technologies to mitigate heat. So cool roofs, cool walls, cool pavements. And these technologies can be very cost effective in communities to implement. In the county of LA, the city of LA, the requirements for cool roofs go beyond what the state requires. So you find some regions of neighborhoods and cities. Knoxville, Tennessee has done a lot of work on cool roofs. So throughout the country, as we have extreme heat, there's things we can do to help our building. And Runner will be talking about cool retrofits for homes. Following him, Nihar Shah is going to talk about something called the Global Cooling Efficiency Program, which is also known as the Kigali Amendment. And the Kigali Amendment emphasizes two things. Air conditioning is one of the largest load growths. It is the largest load growth in the building sector. And it is a problem because as the climate gets harder, we need more air conditioning. And there's this feedback effect because the air conditioners use energy and they have CFCs in them. They have fluorohydrocarbons that are very damaging to the climate. So we want to have refrigerants that are have less global warming potential. And he'll talk about energy efficiency and those refrigerants. Then you're going to hear from Eugene Silberstein about variable refrigerant flow systems, which are exciting because you can zone buildings better and you can help make very energy efficient HVAC systems. And Ian Walker has been working with DOE on pathways to accelerate decarbonization in homes. So he's going to be talking about very practical retrofits and things we can do. And those include actually creating technologies for low and moderate income communities where they own the technology, and when they move, it goes with them. That's one of the interesting problems about if they may not own their home, but they may be able to buy a portable heat pump or a portable system of some sort they can take with them. Spencer Dutton's going to be talking about thermal energy storage. And we talked about grid integration yesterday. And when you want to integrate with the grid, sometimes our HVAC loads are peaking at the same time the grid is peaking. And we want to try to shift some of that load to other times of the day. So if we can develop more thermal energy storage that's cost effective, our building operations can be much cleaner. So he'll be presenting some really interesting new work around thermal energy storage. And then you'll hear about EcoBlock, which Peter mentioned earlier. That's a fascinating urban microgrid. And the thing about this, Peter, is that HVAC service technicians are now going to have to better understand electric batteries, microgrids, generation, photovoltaics. And so the domain knowledge for these complex systems is expanding. And we need to have people aware of how the building fits into these connected community microgrid systems. And then there are 2 more sessions. Really excited to listen into the session on promoting diversity in the building's workforce. And in diversity, we're going to be thinking about who has the jobs now, and how do we promote more equitable and inclusive HVAC and buildings sustainability careers. So we'll be talking about some of the people, about things that they're doing and their perceptions of the workforce, including DOE and some investment they're making in something called the Workforce Accelerator. And then the last talk, Brian Lovell will be talking about continuous program improvement and opportunities for resource development. So he's one of our co-PIs and the president of the Association of Controls Professionals. Very excited for that talk also. So that's a quick overview of today.
Yeah, I see that Celeste Carter is here with us. Celeste, do you want to say anything, say a few words? She is the director of the ATE program.
Sure. Good morning. Well, it's still good morning here. Good morning, everyone. And I really enjoyed the talks yesterday. It's a real pleasure to listen and learn, as I'm learning a lot, as well as I'm sure all of us are. And it's great to see the sort of the emerging areas and the attention that all of you are paying to those areas. And I think that's one of those really critical points. We do have a lot of interest always in the ATE program from Congress and from the White House. And there's an increasing interest, particularly now, kind of across the federal government, in technician education, which has it's always been the focus of ATE, but I have other people in the ATE communities sending me emails saying, Celeste, not sure what's going on, but all of a sudden technicians have risen to the top of everyone's thoughts about workforce. So I would just like to say thank you to all of you for all of the work that you do. Keep up the good work. As Peter said, I definitely applaud the faculty, because I know that, there are times when you would, you look at some of the impediments of being in a academic environment versus maybe being in industry, especially with, you think of salaries. And so thank you all for everything that you do. So Peter, or Marianne, let me turn it back to you, and thank you all. I'm looking forward to today.
Yeah, thank you, Celeste. One of the highlights, we were talking about that equity or inclusiveness panel that we're going to be doing. One of our former network participants, who we haven't seen recently, she was actually Canadian and was an HVAC technician for many years. Now she's working for JLL, which is a very large property management firm. I'm not sure what her role is, but I can't wait to hear what she might have to say about how to attract women into this field, which is very heavily dominated by men. And especially when you start thinking about the building automation systems and more of the computer side. Marianne, you were talking about the cross-disciplinary nature of the field. And with BAS systems, of course, it becomes even more cross-disciplinary, because now building technicians have to know computers. They have to know about networks. They have to know how to connect devices to networks. They have to know software. They have to know some programming. One of NSF's initiatives right now with ATE is kind of a focus on cross-disciplinary knowledge and skills. Can you talk about that for a second, Celeste?
Sure. It really came out of one of the 10 big ideas, and of looking at sort of convergence areas. Just what Peter said, you really can't work even in advanced manufacturing, in building automation systems, in a lot of other areas without now having to have an expanded knowledge across different areas that for a long time we would have said, well, these are separate. One of the examples I use a lot is a better knowledge about cybersecurity. You know, you certainly wouldn't want to get a smart building hacked, and they definitely could be if technicians are not looking at the data that's coming in, realizing what's going on, being able to respond to that. There's just a tremendous number of sort of converging areas. And again, you know, one of the questions that comes to me all the time is, well, so we've developed a program in building automation specialists, and how do we add all this new information? You know, if they now need to know more in this area and more in that area, and we're already at the maximum limit of credits that our institution or our state says we can have in an associate degree program, what do we do? So, I mean, I think that's one of those challenges we need to think about, along with the fact that areas are converging. We do need our students to be, you know, to be highly skilled. We want industry to look at the students coming out of our programs and say, this is the best person for the job, that announcement that I have out. They have the right skills, they have mastery of these concepts, and they're ready to go. So, you know, just another thing to, I guess, to think about as we go about our work every day.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You know, we just have a couple of minutes left. I just wonder if everyone could turn on their camera for a moment so we can see everyone. I really miss the in-person meetings that we had. Hey, Billy, Mark. It is so good to see everyone.
Peter, do you want me to spend a moment talking about navigating the platform?
Sure. Go ahead, Marianne. Yeah,
No,
we just have a couple of minutes left.
We got a few more cameras still coming on, so we'll say hello. And
hello, Robin from Maine.
Cool. Not quite that far.
Oh, upstate New York, right? Yeah.
so I'm going to share a couple slides here, Peter, just to remind people about some of the opportunities within the platform. The annual institute, you can chat with speakers and other attendees and booth representatives. So you can send questions in the Q&A. I think you all know how to do that in Zoom, in both the Q&A or the chat function. But you can also chat with a speaker or attendee after or outside the Zoom session in the lobby. You can click on the chat symbol and you can see a new chat browser pop up, and you can join chat rooms on the left side to find your desired chat room. You can contact other attendees by clicking on the people, and you can visit the booths in the expo hall. And I'm going to show you that in a moment really quickly. And you can go and chat the tab into the chat room. And we have the lab's internship staff at our virtual booth. So the times here are today, yesterday, today, and tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 1:30 Pacific time. We will be in that booth. So let's see, let me click on my slide here. This is, we're reminding you what the platform looks like. You can go into the expo hall and you have all these different things you can click on to browse into the expo hall. And I want to show you I have an arrow here to the Lawrence Berkeley National Labs booth, but you can see there's a lot of material here. So we encourage you to spend a little time visiting these different resources that have been put together for you to understand what's happening with the Milwaukee Area Technical College, the Wake Technical Community College, and visit these various booths. And finally, again, here's what the chat looks like. You can click on these icons. You can chat with the internship staff from LBL from 10 a.m. to 1:30 today. And that's just a quick, this is what the LBL booth looks like. We have the division that I lead, publications, the GEB roadmap we talked about yesterday. And then the Flex Lab virtual tour. Behind me is the Flex Lab. It's a facility that Cindy Renier runs, and you'll be hearing from her in a moment. We have residential building systems and Impel, which is an accelerator program. So we'd encourage you to browse through those resources, and I'll stop sharing because I know we're at time.
And just to reinforce what Mary Ann was saying, there is a directory of all of the participants, all the attendees, and you can initiate a conversation with anyone through that function. And I don't know whether you've used that yet, but you can go in. Everyone is alphabetized, and you can chat with any attendee. Well, I think with that, we are at time, and we want to give you time to get to the opening session with Cindy Renier, who will be talking about these demonstration projects that DOE has funded. So look forward to today, and thank you all very much for attending and your attention. And we hope that you enjoy this day as much as we do. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.